How to get a startup business loan with bad credits and no collateral. Even if you have good credit, what should you do? I'm going to show you all of that and so much more in this video. But before I get started, my name is Michael from Viral Funding Solutions, and no more introduction from me. Let's get right into this. What you're looking at on the screen is a company called Collateral, where I will show you how you can get a startup business loan through them. And I'll leave more information of them down below in the description and all other resources for you to get a hold of me. But I want to answer the question that's on your mind right now. Is there a true startup business loan where you're starting from complete scratch? And the answer to that is no, not entirely in the sense of a private lender giving you their money, because at the end of the day, they want to make sure they're getting it back, right? They don't want to just fund a new business that has no credentials or no proof of revenue, time in business, that they've gone through these struggles, to then be able to say, yeah, we can give you just a little bit or we can give you a lot. But there are some options, there are some alternatives. So I'm going to run through about 10 of these, and then I'm going to dive deep into this piece of content that you have on screen, and I'll show you the requirements and all that. So an option you have is crowdfunding. This is one you can raise money. You can use that to apply it for the startup of your business. Very common. I'll leave some programs down below in the description. And again, all resources will be down below. So this is a common one most people use. And I've seen it a lot of time being put to good use. Another option, you have small business grants. So I have this document that I'll link to you down below, but it is the most updated grants, and I will continue to update them. So if you're watching this later on outside of 2022, it'll be the most up to date for that year. But I have all of these, and I'm continuously adding new ones that you can check out. And then another option that's already in this document are microloan programs through the SBA, or you can go through other ones like nonprofit and other organizations. But the microloans, you can get usually up to 50,000 for, in a lot of cases, complete startups or business, or if it's a non-startup, just to help entrepreneurs push through. So there are those options. You can look down below. Another one we have, friends and family. Very common. I'm sure you've probably gone down that route, or perhaps you can't. Maybe you've burned a bridge, or you just don't want to use any more of their time and energy and their money to help you with all of that, and you don't want to go down that route. So another one you have, angel investors. Common. A lot of people will use that option. You have venture capital, personal loans for business, which I will dive into here in a moment, but I also have a separate video on personal loans. You can look down below in the description. SBA microloans, which I covered, and then through nonprofits and other ways. You have business term loans or lines of credits. Those you can get through a startup business loan, which I will show you today. Invoice financing / factoring, and then equipment financing. In not all cases will you get a true startup loan with all of these, but sometimes, you know, when there's no revenue required, sometimes you may have to have a better credit score. And so this is where the part comes in, where I'm also going to talk about not only bad credit, but good credit. So if you have no revenue, but you have good credit, then that can help you. And you have the time, maybe, I'm going to give you an example, not in all industries, but if you're in the trucking industry, maybe you have 2+ years of driving experience and you have the credit history. Maybe you have a 680 and above FICO, and you have some other things that you meet, then perhaps we can help you. But in those cases, you may have to provide some type of collateral. So there is that other side of the equation. Now, let me get right into it here with Collateral. So you can start a new business with our startup business loan. Apply for a personal loan to fund your entrepreneurial ideas, rent a location, buy equipment, purchase inventory, or more. Startup business loans. You have unique needs when it comes to financing. I know it's very difficult to look for something that will be like one completely a true startup. And most startups can be classified as being under 2 years, even if there's some revenue being generated. So the loan program here includes lines of credit and unsecured term loans for startups, entrepreneurs, or existing businesses. So that's where I come in to the equation where I was talking about just seconds ago, where you can get business term loans or lines of credits through these. So that's what will be offered to you. In a lot of cases, it can be a line of credit. So keep that on the back of your mind. You will be pre-qualified in a few hours, and funding will take place in as little as 5 days. Our process here is very simple. You fill out an online application, you select your offer, and you can get funded very quickly. If you have questions before you start the process, you can feel free to contact somebody in the office. But what I would recommend you do is, one, you can look down below in the description to get started, but I'm going to go into some of the ways you can qualify. Another thing you can get access to is this quick questionnaire form down below. So what I do is I can give you a personalized and customized email response on what your best funding option and options are. So this is a questionnaire, not an application. So if you need help, if you're not only a startup, but a non-startup and you haven't done this yet, and you would like somebody to help you understand what can you qualify for, if you don't qualify for something, what are the options there for you? So when you are ready, you can go. And what are some bonus tips, some pro tips, and how you can get started, extra resources, the application process, and all of that. Make sure to fill this out. It'll be down below in the description. It'll look like this more or less. Maybe it'll change in some time with some modifications, but you can check that out. And another way, I'm going to put a pause on this very quickly through the Go Capital and then talk about another way. If you would like to get up to $250,000 in business funding without it having to be tied to your social security number or a personal guarantee, and you can build your business from the ground up as a startup, or if you're a non-startup and you haven't started building business credit, this is what I recommend you do. So I'll leave this down below in the description. So how to rapidly build business credit and get access to over $250,000 in funding without being tied to your social security number or personal credit score, even if you are a complete beginner or have tried and failed. So backing up there with personal guarantee, sometimes they may be applied depending on your situation and where you are. Sometimes they won't in some cases. So this will be down below. It's a free video series you can pick up. A lot of people have used it already. And that's what I would recommend overall. If you don't qualify for some of these options, that you start building business credit so you can get access to business funding, and that you can apply towards your business. You can start building these, applying with these vendors like Uline, Granger, Brex, etc. Get a net 30, pay the full amount back, do it as fast as possible, get as many purchases, 5 and above, so you can start having these reporting and start getting these trade lines, start building these credit accounts that are reporting to the credit bureaus. So then again, this will help you overall. So that video series will be down below. Make sure to pick that up. And there's more content on building business credit. I'll leave down below, but make sure you check that out. That'll be a great way to get started. So loan amounts, $25,000 up to $500,000. Terms, 3 to 10 years with monthly payments. That's an advantage. Rates from 6% to 18%. So it may not be the lowest, but you don't always have a say in that matter. Sometimes you have to take what you can get, and you have to think about, the repayment. And you also have to think about what benefit is coming out of it. So if the benefit is greater than the repayment, then it makes sense for you to move forward. So startup business loans, what are the benefits? You get to jumpstart your business, get pre-qualified with the soft credit pull, low interest rates, monthly payments, no prepayment penalties, 5 days for funding, maintain full ownership. This is how you qualify. Requirements, a 700 plus credit score on 2 of the 3 bureaus. So I know you're already thinking, well, you're talking about bad credit. Well, I'm talking about the 2. And in a lot of cases, when you're getting a startup business loan, specifically with private lenders, you're trying to get this business line of credit or this business term loan, a lot of the times the requirements are going to be a higher credit score. So 700 plus credit score on 2 of the 3 bureaus, 5 plus active revolving accounts, history of installment loans, less than 3 inquiries in the last 6 months on each bureau. That's what gets a lot of people. They have too many inquiries. So 30% credit utilization or less, verifiable income like taxes, pay stubs, W-2, etc. And you just get to fill out a simple loan application. And I'll go through that in a moment, but I'm also going to give you some more details. Let me go over here just so I can show you something, and then we'll move forward. But all of this information will be down below in the description. If you want to learn more about how you can get it through Go Capital, which I strongly recommend you do, make sure to check that out. Let me come back over here for startup, but we do all types. So there are a lot of different services as well, but I'll give you some of the recommendations down below in the description. So following through with this, if you have an idea for a business, one of the most critical factors in turning this into a reality is a startup business loan. Obtaining working capital to grow a new company will help you grow more quickly. Some lenders consider a startup business loan to be funding for a business with less than 2 years of operation, which is exact. But more commonly, people refer to a business that has not been formed yet and just about to open. Fortunately, we offer working capital for both situations. But even before that, you have to come into this with your identity being established. You have your EIN, you got it through the IRS. You are going through some elements, the NICS, applying for your industry so you can have that code. All these little fundamentals like having a professional email address, a business phone number, website, even that helps you. So make sure you go ahead and check out that building business credit video series, which I'll touch upon that in that as well, and all other forms to get websites and all this stuff. So make sure you're looking through that, because that will also help your chances of getting approved. You just don't want to come into this blindfolded, not having done something. So are there really startup loans for businesses, as I kind of just mentioned earlier? Most entrepreneurs who are at the very beginning opening a company get the funding either from their own savings or credit cards, which again alludes to the whole business credit building, which I strongly recommend you do so you can get access to vendors, building up these trade lines, getting approved for these business credits cards, these limits that you get to them. And that's a way to go for, or friends and family who decide to invest in the business. Then they work to build the business on their own before applying for a loan. So later on, let's say you're building your business credits, you have these vendors, you're reporting these trade lines, these accounts that are reporting to your reports. And then you're like, well, I want to get a higher limit, but you're capped somewhere. And you're like, well, I want to get a business loan. I want to get approved for more. Then that can be an alternative solution you look at, but not in all cases do you have to start with business credit. Sometimes you don't have it established, but you need a loan right now for what you need it. And it's very important that you take it. So I'll leave information of that down below in the description. What I recommend, you can get up to 2 million in incredibly fast funding, even up to 25,000 same day instant approval, hybrid business line of credit. So make sure to look for that content down below. So with Go Capital, we can offer startup financing if you have demonstrated a strong credit history over a few years with multiple established trade lines. This funding can be in the form of installment loans or lines of credit. You can learn more about the benefits of startup business loans by reading this article. So what are the best ways to use an unsecured business loan if that's what you're getting? Hiring new people, equipment financing, real estate, marketing, etc. What are the benefits of that? There's just a few bits of details in there. So I'm going to go over here into this document. So personal and startup loans, they kind of match one and one, but I'll have another piece of content for personal loans down below in the description. Personal loans you can use for business. So for 20,000 to 500,000, as we talked about earlier, term lengths, you get 1 to 5 years, 700 Experian, 2 of the 3 for a startup loan. Annual revenue that's required, 50,000, taxes or pay stubs. Time in business, 0 is required, but you have to have at least 5 trade lines. And that is what's very important that you're building up. So that's why I always recommend that you're building up some kind of credit profile, not only with FICO, but you're building up with business credit, and you're going through all of that. So cost of capital, low, 6% to 18%, which is the interest. Time to approve, 24 hours, funded within a week to 1 to 2 weeks. So it can be much faster than like SBA type of things that you may not get approved for. Less than 35% utilization, depending on a personal or startup. Minimal recent inquiries, strong credit history, no recent negative items. What you need for documents for pre-approval, online loan application. If approved, just apply your driver's license, bank statements, tax returns, pay stubs, utility bill. So that's all that is needed from this. Let me just show you quickly the application, what it would look like when you go in there. Very safe and secure online process. So startup application, funding for any reason, pre-approved in 2 hours. So it's very quick. Startup business funded, cash term loans and bank lines of credit, low monthly payment, no collateral is required. So that's a bonus, right? And so that's what you can go through, fill out a quick form about your needs, pre-approval within 24 hours, receive funds in as little as 2 days. Requirements, we can go 700, but then 682 is what we can look at and above. So here's what you're going to see. Get started, desired amount of funding. You can select the amount there. You already have a business, no. Select on what is the use of your fund, startup funding, and then you can continue there. And then fill out some simple details here. It's very safe and secure. You go through this process of getting started about you, and then you finish, and that's where you'll go. So this will be down below in the description for you to get started. It's very safe and secure, as I just mentioned. And if you qualify for these, this is something to look at. And now let me quickly go over here just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please voice them to me down below in the description. So startup business funding, you can click there and it can also take you to this page. We'll give it a second to load. But there's the free video series you can pick up down below. It's very interesting stuff. The questionnaire form that will really help you get business funding. And then sometimes the business loan application for startups, it might go through the personal loan application. So you can do the same thing. If it's startup personal loan, similar, you can go through this and we can talk about it there. So it doesn't always have to be the page I showed you just before it. It could be this one, or it could be say startup loan, personal loan. They're kind of meshed together anyways. So if you're applying and you see that it says personal loan application, just know that you're in the right place. So that'll be down below in the description for you to get started. And for all other pieces of content that you would like to know about, the grant opportunities and everything else will be down below in the description. Fill out this questionnaire, plus you get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get your proof of funding much faster. I went through all the options like crowdfunding, SBA microloans, on nonprofits, SBA nonprofit microloans through other ways. You have different organizations, equipment financing, lines of credit, as we just alluded to here, business term loans. But in the true sense of getting a startup loan, you have to be careful about it, getting it through a private lender, because they won't always fund you unless you have the criteria that I talked about here in this one video about getting a startup business loan and what some of these requirements are you have to meet. So for all other content, look for it down below in the description to get started with your application on a startup business loan. They will be down there as well. Any questions, comments, or concerns, please voice them to me. I would be more than happy to hear about it. And don't forget to start building business credit. That's ultimately what you should be doing. If you can't get approved for this, or if you do, on top of that, you should be doing that. I have a lot of people who they get the information, they sometimes say they'll go do it, but then they don't do anything about it. And then they come back and they're in the same situation they were about months ago, years ago, weeks ago. So the faster you do it, the faster you will start building your profile, and the more access you will get to funds. So that would be everything from me. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so, and click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I come out with, as well as give it a thumbs up if you feel like you got value out of this, and feel free to share it with others you feel will get value out of this. And again, don't forget, there's a process to this where you're trying to get a startup business loan. Have some things in place, your EIN through the IRS, your NICS code for your industry type. But before all of that too, make sure you're getting a professional email address. You are getting a business phone number, and you're getting a professional address, not a PO box or one of these. So those are some steps to take, and that'll be also discussed in the business credit building video series that I'll leave for you down below. That is everything from me. Thank you.